About them Clippers yesterday, man? Almost
Yeah,
beat the
dude.
Celtics.
I know, man. Well, the Celtics did bench a few guys, but still,
Yeah.
that was hilarious. Oh, hey, everyone. I guess we're live. Nick here with Smitty and Occupy Fantasy, as always, to help you break down tonight's NBA DFS main slate on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Really interesting slate tonight. We did already have a game today, which took place in France. Wemby put on a show for his home crowd. But yeah, this one starts at 7. We got 9 games to get through. We'll get right into it. But Smitty, what's your overall take so far on this slate?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good slate. And as we get more news, I think the slate will just continue to get better. So, only one game locking in that first window. So, it's a pretty good slate for a late swap.
Yep, totally agree. And we were talking about this right before we went live. I initially was thinking, hey, I don't really need anything out of Orlando or Portland tonight. Maybe I just skip this game. There's a lot to wait for. There's plenty of value elsewhere. But then we did just get word that DeAndre Ayton is going to be out for the Blazers. I am using this as a segue, everyone, to get into the game by game here. The first game on the slate is the Blazers taking on the Magic, 211-point total. But yeah, Ayton's out. I don't know if we got any more of this news yet. I think Simons is in. He was questionable earlier. Tumani Kamara as well. No Klingon, though, which does help the minutes for Robert Williams, who's already been named the starter here. So I did just refresh the data. We're looking at Robert Williams as the top DK play. And the really important thing here is that you actually have forward eligibility with him. So there's a ton of great centers on the slate tonight. Khalil Ware, Anekio Okongwu coming in as the second and third best value. Ware looks really good over on FanDuel. But yeah, man, I was hoping to skip this game and just kind of build after the fact. Now I feel like I have to get to some Williams. We'll talk about Orlando in a minute, but how are you going to handle these Blazers? And is Williams going to be a part of your night?
Yeah, I'm gonna play him on DraftKings. FanDuel probably won't get there as much. Just kind of worried about the minutes ceiling for him. Like he played 20 the last time the situation happened, which was
Mhm.
just a couple of days ago. I think it was a Saturday or a Sunday, and I was pretty happy because I was ahead of the field and played him. And then he still only played like 20 minutes. So there is downside there, but there also is upside. So in the case he gets like 23, 24 minutes, you're probably going to want him in your lineup.
Yeah, and I mean, even dating back to when he was with the Celtics, like this is always a guy who kind of plays limited minutes. Against Orlando, they are missing Goga, so they don't need to play big the entire time. But with Isaac available, they're still a pretty decent sized team. But yeah, man, I'm kind of with you. Right now, we don't have the ownership update. We're only giving Williams 18 minutes in the model, but he is popping as the best DK value on the entire slate. I'm probably going to have him in most of my builds over there, not all of them though. Like you said, there is certainly a floor here. Right now, we have 1% ownership. By the end of this video, that's going to skyrocket. So we'll keep an eye on that number, probably refresh the data a little bit later. There's nothing else on Portland. I don't want to spend time on teams we're not all that interested in today. But quickly on Orlando, Franz Wagner is back tonight. We got word that he's going to be limited to 24 minutes. We also got word that Paulo is allowed to play 32 now. So a little bit of a boost for him. Still no Gary Harris or Goga Batadze. It sounds like Cole Anthony is in starting and available. No Jalen Suggs either. No Moon Wagner. Not that that's super big news. I don't mind getting to a little bit of Paulo here. It's a decent spot. He's a little bit cheap because his price is down because he hasn't been getting over 30 minutes consistently. But the coach speak says he should be able to get up to 32. 30 to 32, he said, which is obviously a good sign. So yeah, I think Paulo looks pretty good on paper. I normally would probably get to some Wendell Carter, but there's just better value centers, in my opinion, on tonight's slate. Wouldn't fault anyone getting there. But anything for you on Orlando?
Yeah, it's mainly just Paulo. Really, my only interest there, and I think he looks pretty good. 17 and 16%. I think he's a pretty good play tonight. The only issue is you're locking up a roster spot early, but I'd rather do it with a stud.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree, man. Yeah, because if things change, good value is going to open up. It's not like we have too many situations where, like, if a Jokic is out, you have to get Murray. And not that that's a scenario we're even anticipating. But yeah, there's not a ton of that yet this season. Taking a quick look at chat here. Again, guys, we need to go quick today. I got Smitty on double duty doing Discord. So I already promised I'd try to get him out a couple minutes, but I want to get to all of you in chat quickly here. We got Heath saying, "What's up, fellas? How's it going, Heath?" I am King saying, "Yerp." Europe indeed, my friend. Heath, if TJD is out, what do we think about Post? We're going to have to get to that when we get there. Looney does look like a decent play in the model right now, but we'll get to that game, Heath. I don't want to jump around too much. Unicorn saying good evening, all. We got Nick and Smith here. Shouts out you, Amari. Carmen, what's up? Mike, what's up? And ZA, as we call him familiarly. Yes, man, we definitely both like Paulo. I think that's the one Magic player both Smitty and I are interested in here. But again, for the sake of time, let's get into the next game now. We got this game at 7:30. Not one I think we can skip. One of the highest totals on the board, 237. Hawks are on a back-to-back, which means this game is probably even more competitive than usual. But yeah, man, I think this game looks excellent. Atlanta playing as fast as anyone in the league. Toronto, they're healthy, but still without Quickly. Agbaji is questionable. No Mogbo either. The thing with Toronto is they're all kind of priced, I don't know, a little bit favorably, especially Scotty Barnes, I think looks really good here. Grady Dick, super scoring dependent, does feel cheap. Atlanta gives up as many threes as pretty much anyone in the NBA. If you are desperate for value, Davion Mitchell, too, has been playing pretty solid minutes. Not really known as an offensive threat, but in a matchup like this, pretty much anyone can get there. So I don't mind him. But yeah, man, Toronto and Atlanta, both good teams. We'll talk about Atlanta in a minute, but how are you handling the Raptors right now?
Yeah, it's mainly the guys you mentioned. Really interested in Scotty. I think he's one of my
Mhm.
favorite, if you want to call him a pay up option on this slate. And then Grady Dick, there's a lot of, like, he has a wide range of outcomes. So, not someone I want to jam into my lineups, but someone I'd like to have in some of my lineups. And then
Mhm.
Pirtle, I think's in play. And Kelly Olynyk's getting some ownership. I think it's kind of thin to lock up a roster spot that early, but I don't hate it. I'd prefer him on DraftKings probably.
Yeah, I think if I'm going that cheap, I'd probably go down to Williams or just leave the spot for later. But yeah, Olenek has a really good point per minute rate when he is on the floor. I'm with you on Scotty, though, man. Just kind of want to beat that drum a little bit louder. He's ranking really high in the model in terms of OF index, ahead of plays like LeBron, Harden, Vooch, a lot of good players. And we're seeing Scotty above them all for a little bit cheaper. So definitely someone we want to get good exposure to here. Atlanta, it is a back to back for them. No Clint Capella tonight. Jalen Johnson's probable. Also, no Larry Nance, which is significant. So they're very thin in the front court. Cody Zeller, most people don't even know he's on the Hawks. He's not available either. Trey is probable, should be good to go. Still no Zach Reassure. I think that's it as far as significant injury news. But yeah, man, this team looks excellent. Toronto defense, obviously not very good. Kongwu, we have for 30 minutes. Probably the best play on the slate, in my opinion, in terms of point per dollar. On DK, he looks excellent, way too cheap. And then on FanDuel, you could play him at power forward. So I think Okongwu, not a hot take. He's 50% owned. One of my favorite plays. I do like Young and Johnson. They are kind of pricey, but Trey feels too cheap here. I know he wasn't great last night. Good matchup here for him. And then Hunter's someone who should probably see increased minutes with this front court very thin. It's been tough to project his minutes, even with a bunch of guys out, unless he's starting. He's not going to start. He's probably going to be Krejci. But yeah, I don't mind maybe mixing in a little bit of Hunter. Daniel's good, a little overpriced in my opinion. It's mostly just Kongwu, Young, Johnson for me, maybe some Hunter. But this is definitely a team we want to get exposure to, right?
Yep. This game looks really good. And yeah, I agree with you. I have a ton of Okongwu, a lot of Jalen Johnson, and then kind of mixing in Trey Young. But I think Okongwu and Johnson are my favorite here. And then I don't mind any of the secondary plays you mentioned if they show up in my lineup. Like Dyson on, I'd prefer him on FanDuel. But
Mhm.
like you said, he's kind of overpriced, getting a little bit of ownership. Would rather just go to Okongwu or Johnson.
Yep. And again, if you guys are playing 150 lineups, I think David Roddy is someone who we could see slide into the rotation, play a few minutes at the five. Not something I'm confident in. Definitely wouldn't be doing getting much Roddy exposure if you're only playing a handful of lineups, but I did just want to mention him. But again, a Kongwu core play here, definitely one of the best on the slate. Let's go right into the 8 o'clock window now, man. We have Mavericks taking on OKC. Really weird game here. Mavericks, excuse me, are on a back-to-back. Kyrie is available though. Last night they had no Clay and no Najee Marshall. It sounds like we're once again without Clay and Najee Marshall. So pretty thin Mavericks team. Also no Derek Lively, no Jaden Hardy, Dante Exum. Already mentioned Luca. No Dwight Powell either. So yeah, this is a terrible matchup for Dallas. But kind of looking at them on paper, you would think we'd maybe find some value here. Dinwiddie came off the bench last night, played terribly. I wouldn't be surprised to see him start. Maxine Prosper was a guy getting a ton of love earlier in the day. Probably does get the start again here. Played 25 minutes, did nothing with them. Was a tough defensive matchup against Gobert and the Timberwolves. But yeah, I don't think it's crazy to maybe mix him in. I definitely think the ownership we see here comes down now that we have Robert Williams as an option on both sides. But yeah, man, it's tough for me to sit here and say I want to play much of Dallas against OKC, even knowing they're going to be thin in terms of their overall rotation. But are you getting to any Mavericks right now?
It's mainly Quentin Grimes for me. I like Grimes. I know he was not that good offensively last night, but the minutes were there. Maybe the field comes down on him, and then like you mentioned, Omax. If he starts again, I think he's in play. I don't think he comes in at like the 40 that we have him. He's probably going to be in that 20 to 30 range, and I'm
Mhm.
fine with it there. He's cheap and he fits a good position, so I like going back there. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I think Gafford's kind of overowned.
Yeah, man, I tend to agree. There's a lot of good centers tonight. I don't mind Gafford, but even against the thin OKC front court, definitely not the best matchup. I'm trying to look like who would get running a blowout, and it's really tough to say. Like they're not deep on the bench. Kessler Edwards had some pretty nice plays last night. I watched that game; it was pretty terrible, honestly. But Kessler Edwards, old Brooklyn net, always want to shout him out. Probably wouldn't be playing him except for Showdown. Wasting time here talking about Kessler Edwards. But moving over to the OKC side, it looks like we got no Isaiah Joe. That's going to be significant. No Hartenstein, Holmgren, AJ Mitchell, or Nikola Topic. So yeah, Joe's out again. That probably creates a few extra minutes for someone like Case and Wallace or an Aaron Wiggins. Caruso's minutes are capped, so he doesn't really tend to benefit in these situations. But yeah, Jalen Williams with an eye, likely to start at center again. His prices come way up, though. Tough for me to get excited about that. Shea, I mean, is Shea. He can get there in 3 quarters. He played 38 minutes last night, though. I don't think they're going to want to run him into the wall if they can help it. Probably going to try to blow this team out quickly and then just get out of there. But yeah, things don't always go as planned. Are you getting to any OKC?
Yeah, I'm getting to Jalen Williams, the one with the E, and then a little bit of Lou Dort and Aaron Wiggins, just kind of the secondary plays. Not getting to much SGA. Kind of like you said, I kind of think it's a spot they either limit him or maybe he gets added to the injury report late. So, kind of someone I'm not really getting to. I'll have a few percent, but I think there's better options.
Yeah, I will say Cason Wallace is kind of that hybrid player that tends to play regardless of how the game plays out, whether it's close or it's a blowout. He could be getting minutes in the fourth quarter. So I don't mind maybe some Cason Wallace's value. Definitely better on DK than FanDuel, though. He's 5,300 over there. Kind of tough to get to him. Um, yeah, man. I don't know. It's tough to project blowouts. That one does feel pretty bad, especially with Dallas being on a back to back. Let's see here. Jose, 46 left in the flex spot. Who would you get to? I mean, Case and Wallace is that exact price. Honestly, Jose, I'd play someone in the late games and kind of wait and see what comes out. But yeah, just checking the model real quick, see what's up there for you. Yeah, Kaysen's way up there. Christian Brown, Lou Dort. If you could find 100 more, I mean, probably one of those few I just listed. Buddy Hield could get the start too for Golden State tonight. He's someone else. Mike, yeah, we just talked about Prosper. I think if he starts, he's okay. Personally, I think I prefer Robert Williams, but something to keep an eye on that ownership. Only playing a little. Time Lord and Black. Yeah, we didn't talk about Anthony Black. Even coming off the bench, he's been pretty solid. Don't mind that. Doug L. Price is up. And yeah, Jose, I do like Williams a little better, but you'd have to upgrade somewhere else. Grimes was gassy last night, indeed. Savage saying what's up. And I'm just ripping through these, Smitty. If we get a really tough one, I'll definitely throw it over to you. But Thug asking top values. Oh, he. This is direct to you, Smitty. Maybe because of the Yahoo exposure. But any must plays for you tonight on Yahoo if you were playing over there. I'll pull up the value. We're looking at Moses Moody. Prefer him if he's starting. Krejci's too cheap. Case and Wallace, Mitchell. Um, Robert Williams is $15 on Yahoo. Not as vital over there, but anything standing out to you on Yahoo, man?
I like Lonzo Ball, probably one of
Nice.
my favorites there, and then Robert Williams is cheap.
Yeah, man. Ball definitely puts up numbers even in limited minutes. I've been playing him a lot this year. I like that a lot. So, um, Bogey, yeah, no, Spiz, I don't think so at all. Are you getting to any Bogdanovich for Atlanta? He's been pretty terrible this season.
No, no, he's been
Yeah.
really bad.
Yeah, if I'm playing someone off the bench, it's probably Hunter. And honestly, point per dollar, Krejci might be safer than both. But let's keep plugging away here, man. We got a game between the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks. So this one's interesting. I think the Bucks were stuck at an airport because of snow or something. They don't know how to handle it in New Orleans. But this game is still on, but it got pushed until 8:30. So this game was originally supposed to take place at 7:30. So just keep an eye on the sites. I don't know if they're going to adjust that or not. If it were to lock early, obviously, that could create some issues if there's a late scratch or something like that. I'm expecting them to fix things. But on the Miami Heat side, Jimmy Butler, public enemy number one, will be out just for being a bad teammate. Tyler Hero's probable. Drew Smith's still out. He's going to be out for the season, I think. Nothing else really significant here. So yeah, Khalil Ware, I think he's the cover of the video today. He's been an absolute beast. The good thing with him is he's playing alongside Bam. We've seen them start. I'll hold the L on that. I didn't think they'd start him next to him right away. I knew they started playing them together. But yeah, Spolstra says, hey, let's just get the best guys on the floor. Duncan Robinson's been playing pretty well. Jaime Jaquez could get the start here over Terry Rozier. Rozier has not been playing well, and Chuck made this point when we were on stream together the other day. It seems Spolstra just really hates Terry Rozier, so that is what it is. But yeah, man, Miami a really tricky team. I think Ware is obviously a good play. I don't mind maybe Jaquez if he starts. Robinson, kind of like a more expensive Grady Dick, definitely has some upside. But where are you getting on Miami?
Yeah, for me, it's mainly Ware and Hero. I think Ware is a really good play. Even where he's center only on FanDuel, I think he's a really good center option.
Mhm.
The minutes have been there. Everything's been there. He does a little bit of everything. And then Hero with no Jimmy looks good. As far as the secondary plays, it's kind of just like it's almost like a puzzle, man. You never know what Spoelstra is going to do. So
Yeah,
with I'd prefer to like avoid ownership. Like I'd rather just play the guys you know are going to play, like Bam, Ware, and Hero. Jaime Jaquez, I think he's overowned, but if he
agree.
starts, I'll probably get to a little bit.
Yeah, and your point on ownership, man, we are seeing Jovic looks decent in the model. He's been playing pretty consistent minutes against a big team like Milwaukee. Maybe gets a few more. He's someone sub 10%. I wouldn't mind getting to, and he's not going to start. So just keep that in mind. Don't mind a little bit of Jovic in tournaments. Over on the Milwaukee side of things, again, they've been sitting on the runway today. I don't know if they even had a shoot around, but Giannis is probable. Middleton's probable. AJ Green's out. Nothing else on the injury report that we need to talk about. I think Giannis looks good, man, mostly because no one wants to play him. One of the top OF index plays on the slate. While it's not the best matchup defensively, it's a competitive game. So we are going to get more minutes out of Giannis than we see when they're playing bad teams. Dame's in. Really not a ton of interest in him. Lopez always seems to produce when he's 1% owned. I don't think I can get there tonight. There's just too many centers. Pretty much Giannis or bust for me on Milwaukee, man. How about you?
Yeah, same here. Not getting to a ton of Giannis just because of his price, but anywhere you can get him, I think he's a good play.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, there's a few interesting payups tonight. We talked about SGA already. He's obviously way up there. We got the Lakers Celtics we'll be talking about in a minute. Jokic is Jokic. We'll talk about him as well. But yeah, I think Giannis is a little bit underrepresented. And as more value opens up, he's going to be a little bit easier to get to. I will get to chat, guys, but let's get into this 9 o'clock window now. We got the Kings taking on the Nuggets. I think both of these teams are I don't know. I can't say if they're on back to backs or not. It doesn't necessarily matter because no one is of significant on the King side in terms of injuries. Malik Monk, too cheap on DK, man. Since the coaching change, since Christie took over, he's been an absolute beast. 7K flat on DK, very popular. That ownership has come down. Earlier this morning, he was actually the most popular play on the slate, which was kind of crazy to see. I like him though on DK. I think he fits pretty much anywhere. He allows you some flexibility if you're waiting on late news. Sabonis is good. Fox is good. That's really all I have interest in. I will say Monk on DK, kind of a core play for me tonight, although I do think there are a few lineups I'll be pivoting off of him. I just think he's the type of piece that I like to kind of hold the spot because worst case scenario, you play Malik Monk at 7K, you're not going to feel bad about it. But how are you handling the Kings?
Yeah, they look a lot better on DraftKings. FanDuel, they're kind of all overpriced. Pretty tough to get there, but I am getting to a little bit of Malik Monk. And then Keegan Murray, I don't mind going there. The minutes are going to be there. It's just, does he hit his shots? So
Mhm.
Keegan. And then really just the whole starting five, I think, is in play on DraftKings.
Yeah, DeRozan always gets overlooked, but he definitely has some upside. Wouldn't mind him for the other guys we just mentioned. But yeah, one of the few teams on the slate without much injury news, which usually tells you they're kind of priced where they should be. Tough to really wring too much value out of a team like that. But on the Denver side of things, yeah, surprisingly, no real significant injury news. They're healthy. I will say Murray kind of playing injured, but he's spiked some massive upsides recently. 200 more than Monk, another really solid play drawing ownership. Russell Westbrook kind of capped around 28 to 30 minutes. He's been producing, though, and the price has come down a little bit on him. I think those two guards and obviously Jokic look excellent here. Those are really the only three plays I have any interest in. I am a little bit surprised Joker isn't more popular. I think it's just because some of the best value on the slate is at center. But if I can get over the field on him, I definitely will be happy about it. But how are you handling Denver?
Yeah, I agree. Any Jokic I can get to, definitely be happy about it. But it's mainly Russell Westbrook for me, and all the rest are just tournament plays. But on DraftKings, I think Westbrook at his price looks like a pretty solid value play.
Yeah, man. 700 cheaper than he is on DK. 1K cheaper than Murray on DK for Russ. So even with the limited minutes, he's been a beast. Just great chemistry with Jokic, which has been a kind of national story this week. Kind of fun to hear how he wanted him there because he's slow and he thought he would run well with him. And yeah, what do you know? Jokic, very smart NBA player. It's worked out really well for them. But let's take a look here. What do we think about Wagner coming back? 24 minutes. Not enough minutes for me, Unicorn. He's going to be capped at 24, I think. How about you, Smitty? Are you playing any Wagner?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, it's like his fantasy point per minute's good, but you got to remember Boncharo's back. Most of those big games came with him out. It's not like the same situation as Zion, who could really just completely crush in 24 minutes. Yeah, Jay, I had a rough night last night. Smitty here's on fire though, so maybe lean into his takes right now. Jose Schroeder or Drew Holiday. This entirely depends on the status of Curry for me, Jose. If Curry's out, Schroeder all day. If Curry's in, I would go to Drew. How about you, Smitty?
Yeah, same here.
Same. Okay. Yeah, Drew's minutes have been kind of weird, but I think in a game like this, they want him on the floor, especially if Curry's in, which is the case you'd be playing him because they like his defense on him. Yeah. So, yeah, saying Robinson came through the other night. Jay, how about tonight? Is he coming through again? Definitely someone we're looking at. Schroeder isn't starting. That should help him running the second unit. That's what they got him for. Did they change that lineup? Yeah, I guess they started healed last game. If that's what they're going to do, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I think I still want him playing for Curry because he's only playing 20 minutes off the bench if he's coming off the bench. That's not enough for me to feel good. Baller Wallace last minute. This is a tough one. I think I could go either way, but I'll give you this question, Smitty.
Uh, I don't
Oh.
know. That's tough.
Yeah,
I
let's see what
prob-
the model says real quick. So Ball we know is capped around 25 minutes, 6.20 F index. Wallace 6.9. Model saying Wallace is to play. Mr. Torian. We got Power here, better late than never. Yeah, Power, appreciate you coming over to the stream. Let us know if any news is breaking. Jay with some jokes. We got Fave DK value, FanDuel only based on salary today. I think it's Robert Williams on DK. Yeah, and then where? And then on FanDuel, I don't know. We're showing where is the top value. He looks great there. Are there any like true cheap value plays you're liking from FanDuel, Smitty? I know you said you're a little bit heavier over there tonight.
Not yet. I'm hoping more opens up, but the cheapest player I have like quite a bit of exposure to is probably Quentin Grimes, and then Omax.
Nice. I'll throw out Buddy Hield's name over there too. If he starts, I think he's going to look pretty good. Yeah, no free throw practice for Giannis dugout. It's pretty funny. Smitty is on a heater indeed. Giannis night, I like it. Travis ripping through these comments, guys. Okay, we got a lot to get through. Robert Williams confirmed starting. Oh, Black is starting now. I thought I saw earlier that Cole Anthony was.
Oh yeah, Cole Anthony's out.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Anthony Black in that first game suddenly becomes pretty appealing. That is fresh news. Just came out 14 minutes ago. Cole Anthony out. So yeah, I said earlier I didn't really want to play that early game until the Robert Williams news came out. I think now it's pretty reasonable to get to some Anthony Black. We both said Bonchero was a pretty good play as well. But enough about that 7 o'clock game. Let's get into this 10 o'clock game between the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers. Boston rested a bunch of guys last night. Played a pretty competitive game against the Clippers backups. But yeah, it looks like there's really nothing significant for them right now on the injury report. Again, a healthy team, all kind of priced where they should be. At the same time, no one's getting to them. They definitely have upside here against the Lakers. I wouldn't mind getting to one of the quote unquote big three: Tatum, Porzingis, Brown. I do think the Drew Holiday price on both sides, really more so on DK, is pretty tempting though. Now that he's sub 5K, we have him for right around 30 minutes. But yeah, pretty much Drew. Derek White's fine. I just don't love him at the price. But Drew, Tatum, Porzingis, Brown look pretty good to me. Under-owned, in my opinion. Tough to call anything a priority. But yeah, Boston, not a terrible spot. Where are you at on the Celtics right now, Smitty?
Yeah, it was kind of weird not to see any Q tags on them. I thought that was pretty
Mm.
strange. Wouldn't be surprised if something pops up, but it is a national TV game, so maybe they're just going to play their guys. But for me, it's mainly Porzingis and Drew, and same on FanDuel. It's mainly just Porzingis and Drew Holiday for me.
Yeah, I think point per dollar, that makes the most sense. Again, we do want pieces of these late games for maneuverability if we're getting weird late news. I will say Jaylen Brown on DK at 7,800 to me. 4% owned, a little bit surprising. Like, I think he could definitely have a good game here. He's someone I wouldn't mind getting exposure to. On the Lakers side of things, no Hood Shafino. Jared Vanderbilt and Christian Wood are both still out, but James and AD are probable. So both Davis and LeBron have been playing pretty good basketball. And again, similar to the Celtics, you're kind of paying a premium, but no one is getting to them. I don't mind either of them here. Obviously, not the best matchup. But yeah, Reeves a little bit pricey compared to some of the other guards we talked about. Rui, if he's starting, okay as the last piece in, can kind of say the same for Max Christie. Not going to really tout either of them, though, as great plays. I think AD and LeBron look pretty good, though, especially in no ownership. Speedy, are you getting to any Lakers?
A little bit of LeBron on FanDuel, and then I'm getting to more AD on DraftKings. So I think they're
Yeah.
good pay up options that you can kind of swap to. And then like lineups later on, I might get to more of them just to kind of be contrarian.
Yeah, I like it, man. And you kind of nailed it between the two sites. Like where AD's only 500 more on DK. I know LeBron's been playing excellent. I'd rather play AD. But over on FanDuel, that price difference of more than 2K is kind of ridiculous. I think LeBron is a great play over there.
Yep.
So just want to shout that one out. We got another 10 o'clock game here between the Bulls and the Warriors. So this one's tricky. I'm kind of waiting on a lot of stuff on the Warriors side. We'll start with Chicago. Torrey Craig's out. Ayo is questionable. I think he plays. Kobe White questionable. I think he plays. But if either of these guys are out, definitely going to be a boost to Zach LaVine, Josh Giddey. Yeah, and Golden State. I mean, they're on a back-to-back. Not a terrible matchup here. Not a ton of ownership on this team. I like Vooch, but it's just tough to get to him again. We have so many like 5 to 6K centers today. Levine's been playing pretty well. I like him. Kind of priced where he should be, though. You mentioned Lonzo earlier, I think, on DK. Really appealing value option. I like Chicago, man. It's just another team where it's tough to say one thing really stands out above the other. But how are you handling the Bulls at this point?
I'm actually playing quite a bit of Bulls. Kobe White
Nice.
is leaning towards out because
Oh.
that's what the coach said, anyway. So we'll see. But the model has him out as well. So the
Mm-hmm.
model's up to date on it. I have IO as a good play. It just
Mm-hmm.
depends if he plays. I mean, he's questionable too. So assuming he plays, I think he looks like a pretty good play on FanDuel. And then that's going to make Giddy's minutes more secure. So I like getting to Giddy. Vooch is kind of just there. Like I don't mind playing him, but not really a priority to me. It's mainly
Okay.
Levine, Io, and Giddy, and then
Yep.
Lonzo on DK.
Yep. Yeah, Lonzo, limited minutes. We've seen him close at times, though, so definitely a decent spot for him. And yeah, good catch on that Kobe White stuff. I'm looking at the official injury report. It hasn't questionable, but usually if they said leaning towards out, then he's probably not going to play. On the Golden State side of things, Steph Curry's questionable. Obviously, that is massive news. Still no Draymond. Kyle Anderson is out. No Jonathan Kuminga. Peyton and Moody will be available. Lindy Waters is questionable, as is Trace Jackson Davis. So maybe one of the most difficult teams to talk about right now. Also, one of the teams we're kind of building late game into our lineup so we can kind of make some changes if things do change. Big piece of the Steph Curry thing. He hasn't played a back to back yet this season. I'm 90% sure that's true. Someone feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But if that trend's going to continue, he's going to be out tonight. I know we have him in the model right now. He's around 20% owned. But if he's out, we could see Schroeder slide back into the starting lineup. As a starting point guard, I do think Schroeder's an excellent value play. Healed next to him would probably still lead the team in usage. Those two are going to look great. I already like Wiggins here with a lot of the front court out. He's going to look even better. And then Jackson Davis, if he's out, maybe we could get to some Looney. That spot's kind of tricky. I don't know that I want to really use the center spot on either of them regardless. But yeah, projected starting lineup, I've seen Moody. It's mostly Peyton that we're seeing projected to start at the wing. I'm not crazy about it. He is dirt cheap though. But man, are we kind of like, I don't know. Curry's questionable, and but he hasn't played a back to back yet this season. Like, is this the spot where we see it for the first time? And I guess how are you going to handle Golden State either way?
Yeah, it's kind of a mess. Like it's pretty hard to break down this team with the current information that we have. But they said he was going to start playing back to backs, but then again, he played like I think it was 34 minutes yesterday. So I don't know how that goes. And they're only 2 point favorites, which I know they're not very good either. But I don't know. I'm kind of leaning that Curry's out personally.
Same.
And so I have like Wiggins bumped, and then I like Hield, and then Dennis Schroeder. Not someone I usually like, but when Steph is out, I like him. So I think going there makes sense. And then that's kind of why I'm okay jamming Io as well, is because you can swap to Dennis Schroeder and kind of mix that up. Makes it pretty easy.
Yeah, I did want to mention Pods should be back and available tonight. He's very cheap. He's kind of fallen out of favor with Steve Kerr. Maybe if he's starting, maybe mix him in. He is very cheap on both sides. I don't have a ton of interest though, but the starting lineup's going to matter here in a big way. I do want to say this: if you're on DK, maybe you put Buddy Hield at guard or utility. Just make sure you have the 300 left over to upgrade to Schroeder if we do get news that Curry's out, because Hield should probably start if Curry's in. So you're kind of safe either way there. But again, just make sure you kind of have that built into what you're going to end up doing. One last look at chat, and we got one more game to go. Maybe not the last look at chat. Missed the early showdown by 3-4. Had one be his cap. Yeah, man, I had a ton of Miles Turner, which killed me. I did Scoot a good play. Smitty, I'll give you this one. I think he's going to start, but they're getting a little bit healthier.
Yeah, I think as a GPP play, he's a decent play.
Yeah. Here's a tougher one. Any Horton Tucker love?
Yeah, I don't mind getting to Horton Tucker if we get Kobe White out.
Yeah, and again, you'd want White out, and even knowing that Horton Tucker's minutes are volatile, but in tournaments he's cheap enough to consider. Prince letting us know he's doubtful. Smitty highlighted that for me as well. When is Gordon going to get his starting rollback? Yeah, I don't know, man. Probably, maybe never, because they love Russ next to Jokic, and it's been working. And if you look at the Nuggets earlier in the season, they were terrible. So the Gordon injury has kind of fixed that team. He could start over someone else maybe, but I don't think Russ is going to be succeeding that spot anytime soon. Do we think AO plays with the downgrade? I mean, downgrade usually means no. It's not an exact science. Smitty, do you have a lean on that one?
I have him as in right now, but I don't know. It's tough.
It is, yeah. I'd lean no power, but it's tough to say for sure. DK thoughts on Duncan Robinson? He's been great. Jimmy is a big reason he was starting though. I think he likes that spacing, and it's funny. Duncan wasn't starting until Jimmy came back. He's been playing so well now. I think he continues to, but the price is way up. I don't know. I'm a little bit hesitant to click him at 5-1. I like him better on FanDuel. How about you, Smitty? How are you handling D Rob tonight?
Not getting to a ton, but I think he's okay in lineups where you need a contrarian piece.
Yep, I don't mind that. Power saying late queue on Lindy and Pods likely restricted makes you like Guy Santos. Yeah, so Santos is a power forward. If TJD's out, I definitely like him more. Um, Someone earlier brought up Quentin Post as a potential play. I mean, he's been about a point per minute when he's on the floor. I don't think I would get there regardless, but I don't know. I guess there's a world where TJT is out when he were to rest or something. But yeah, as far as like the deep bench goes, I don't mind Moody. He's probably the one. Again, Schroeder, if he starts at point guard, is going to look excellent. Smitty, anything else like from the end of this Warriors bench? It's one of the toughest teams to really parse through.
Yeah, it's really tough just because we don't know who's playing. So I think you just kind of play some of the pieces and then swap around.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So we got one more game here, and I was kind of hoping not to have to deal with this one because it's also a mess. But yeah, Wizards at the Clippers. Clippers benched everyone last night. No one on the injury report of any significance other than Jordan Miller and Chris Dunn tonight. So they're pretty much healthy. So Kawhi should be in. We should have Norm Powell. Should have James Harden. But Wizards first, I guess. We got Sadiq Bey out. No Malcolm Brogdon. No Pat Baldwin or Marvin Bagley. This game has blowout written all over it. At the same time, it's been really tough to predict blowouts this season. I don't really have any interest at all in anything from Washington right now. I know you binked the showdown with them the other day. I think it was Kispert and Kaishan George got some extra run late in the game. I don't mind them maybe as last pieces in, but only if you're kind of forced into playing them. Maybe the pivots in the late games don't go your way. Jared Butler was someone I always want to play, but he's not in the rotation. I would take a few guys to be ruled out for me to get to him. I definitely trust George or Kispert more. But other than these really cheap guys, no interest in the Wizards for me right now. How about you, Smitty?
Yeah, I would mention Carrington. I'm getting to some Carrington on FanDuel. He's just going to play minutes regardless, so I think his floor is pretty safe. And then
Nice.
Koulibaly, someone that I like getting to. And then Kuzma, if you're going to have Clippers players, it makes sense to probably have either Poole or Kuzma in your lineup. And then, like you mentioned, Keyshawn George is in play. You're kind of hoping for a blowout there. And then Joe Val looks okay.
Yeah, I have trouble getting to Joe Val tonight where he's priced. There's a lot of centers I like in that range. But yeah, there's a world where he hits a ceiling. Clippers, again, very healthy. We already talked through their injuries, so don't need to kind of backtrack on that. Kevin Porter, absolute beast last night. I imagine this ownership comes down, though, with his team healthy. I don't think he's going to get that same run. Yeah, man, I don't know. Harden's price is kind of wrong on FanDuel, but at the same time, with Powell and Kawhi in, I don't know that he's a priority for me at 34%. Zoo looks fine. He's been out for a while, though. No word of him seeing limited minutes. He should be good to go. But again, a lot of good centers in that 5 to 6K range. Powell looks pretty good. And then I guess Derek Jones if he starts if you're desperate for value. But I don't know, man. It's tough for me to get to anything in this game. Maybe even more so on the Clippers side. Are you getting into any of these guys?
Yeah, it's mainly just Harden and Zubac for me. I think they look okay here. Harden, I plan on probably being under the field on FanDuel. That's pretty high for him, but he definitely has a ceiling going against one of the worst defenses in the NBA. And then Zubac, he's kind of overpriced on FanDuel, I'd say, but I'm still getting there a little bit.
Nice, man. Um, yeah, I can see it. I'm going to do a quick refresh of the data here. Let's see if we got any other comments. Try to rip through those. How many minutes for R. Williams and Jalen Williams? Oh, nice. So I like this question, Doug Thuggen, because I can just type in Williams and answer you for both. We have Robert up to 23, and he was already the best DK value on the slate when we had him for 18. He is a smash on DK now, at least if you're going by the model. And then Jalen Williams, we have for 23.3. So we actually have them pretty much neck and neck. I just wanted to check the ownership on Williams now. I think he's up to 30%. Maxime Prosper's still more popular than Robert Williams. That's a little bit crazy to me. I can see that flipping. Smitty, I will give you a few minutes back, but let's do a super quick build here. I'll start plugging in the obvious. I'm going to go with Robert Williams on DK. I think he's tough to get away from. I think we both really like Scotty Barnes as a piece tonight. Throw a few names at me, man. Where else are we going?
Okongwu.
Kongwu, definitely. Absolute smash.
And, uh,
Um, I mean, Monk is too cheap. I think he looks pretty good. You mentioned Grimes. I think he's fine. I mean, the blowout does scare me there a little bit. I mean, I like double center if we want to go where.
yeah, I like that.
I'm just really filling this in as quick as possible. In the late game, like I said, I think we go Schroeder, and if Schroeder is, or if Curry is in, just pivot to Heald, assuming Heald starts. Did we want anything from Chicago? We got 7,500 for a forward. Um,
We could play.
Wiggins,
Yeah,
I like Wiggins. That's gonna leave us something nice at 89. I don't know, Jalen Johnson. I mean, that's pretty good. 300 left over. Maybe move some things around. But that's where we're starting tonight, guys. I think it's a pretty good build. Again, I want to give Smitty a couple minutes back. He's going to be in Discord for the next half hour or so. How about that game last night. Yeah, man. It's insane. I don't know. NBA's chaos right now. Positionless NBA, more minutes. That's for sure. Power. But yeah, guys. Again, appreciate you tuning in. Still a lot of news to break, so definitely get in the Discord if you're not already. Like the channel, or like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Get in the Discord, and we're answering questions up till lock. We have Smitty in there, and then during lock, just through text, you can add us. We'll take care of you there as well. The model updates in real time. One of the cheapest data sets in the industry, and one of the sharpest as well. So most bang for your buck for sure. So again, thanks everyone. Let's crush tonight. And as Big J is saying here, let's see those money lineups. Looking forward to them in Discord. Take care, everyone.